Today we're joined with Nick Chadwick, a former Everton player. He's also a manager now as well. Thanks for joining us, Nick.
Thank you.
Just want to start off by talking to you about your time at Everton Football Club. You made your debut pretty young. How was that like?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, I've been at the club for a long time. I think I joined the club at 10, 11 years of age, and then went on to become a scholar. And I was lucky enough to be able to play in the first team 20 odd times. So it was amazing at the time. You know, it was a group of us. We'd become mates, having been at the academy for so long, and then to eventually achieve the dream of playing in the first team was an amazing thing for me.
Yeah, it's great. What happened after your debut? And you moved on to other clubs with spells here and there. What was that like, moving around all the time? Was it difficult?
Yeah, it was good. I obviously made the decision that I wanted to go out and prove myself, really. I think when you're at a massive football club like Everton, there's obviously lots of strikers, lots of competition, and you've got to be ultimately good enough. And I wanted to go out and prove myself. I went to Plymouth in the Championship, and obviously, like you say, that was sort of 5-6 hours away from what I was used to. But I was willing to move and experience different things, not only in my football career but my life. And like you say, I moved around and was at Derby for a little bit, Millwall, Plymouth, Stockport, Shrewsbury Town. So I had an array of clubs all throughout the leagues, and I enjoyed my career. I would have liked to have done better in my career, of course, but I gained so many different experiences and met so many brilliant people along the way. And now I think if you've had a career in football, you're obviously very fortunate. So no, it was an amazing journey, sort of a nomadic journey, if you like, because you were never in one place for more than 2 or 3 years. But that's the life of a footballer. So I loved it. Played up and down the country, lived all over the place, and I wouldn't change it.
You said that's the life of a footballer, constantly moving around. Did that have any sort of effect on you, constantly having to move around, never get used to a place, never there for too long? Was that a bit of an issue for you, or did you not mind the travelling?
I think it was for my family at the time. I think if you had a 2 or 3 year contract behind you, that was a little bit of security. But I remember many a summer where your wife or your family are asking what club you're going to sign for, whereabouts in the country might you end up living, and the brutal honesty was I never knew. So that was a little bit unsettling. Every 2 or 3 years, perhaps having the uncertainty of what was happening next, and it was ultimately, as I think when you're in your 20s, it wasn't so bad when I was younger. I think as I started getting older in my career, I wanted a little bit more security, and probably took its toll in the end, certainly with, as I say, with my family. I had a young family at the time, and I wanted to get a bit more settled, and I wanted to be back towards the northwest. So I think that towards the end and towards the back end of my career, that was very much at the forefront of my mind. But as I say, when I was sort of in late teens, early 20s, that was less of a problem.
Yeah, I can see that. And you've moved on to management now. You've had times at Wigan, and now you've found yourself a great job at Wrexham. What's the setup, and how's it like being at Wrexham?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been amazing. You know, everyone knows or a lot of people know the story at Wrexham and the investment with the ownership. I actually got into coaching quite young. I got into coaching sort of my late 20s. I had some injuries, and I knew that I'd have to go and forge a second career for myself. I wanted that to be in football, and I thought coaching was the best route for me. And I was lucky that I started at Blackburn and went to Wigan. We had some good players, and we did really well. With the 18s and 21s at Wigan, with the young players getting into the Championship at the time. Dipped my toe in the first team sort of waters with Fylde and Rochdale as assistant manager, and seeing the ruthlessness of sort of football management at first team level. And then I've ended up with a fantastic opportunity at Wrexham, where Phil Parkinson was brilliant with me, giving me the opportunity to work with the younger players again, and something I feel that I'm quite good at. And we've been able to build and grow that over the last 18 months, 2 years, and with the investment that's going on at the club, that's now coming into the sort of youth development and to the younger players, and it's a real exciting time. It's something great to be a part of and to be able to build.
Living around Formby for yourself at the minute, is the travelling to Wrexham, do you find that difficult, or do you not mind the driving there because you just love what you're doing?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It actually goes the right way for me from here. So when I was at Rochdale, for example, I was driving into Manchester, and even though that was a shorter journey mileage wise, it it was actually a lot more difficult to get into the middle of Manchester every day than it is going over to Wrexham. But I think if you work in football and you're travelling sort of an hour or less, you're very lucky. I think there's coaching staff and players and managers up and down the country who are probably doing 2 or 3 hour journeys, or they're staying for 2 or 3 nights a week and then back to the family home. So obviously, because it's so competitive and I'm so fortunate to work in the industry, I think you've got to be prepared to travel. You've got to be prepared to put the hours in. And it sounds a glorious life, doesn't it, that you work in football and you're working at Wrexham, but you've got to make sure you've got to be prepared to put the work in, like anything else, like yourself with the sports journalism, or like anybody. If they want to do well in their career, they're going to have to put the hours in, and that's what I'm trying to do. And yeah, I can't complain. 50 minutes, sort of an hour each way, isn't too bad.
You said you've obviously loved the managing part of your career. Is there a preference? Have you preferred the playing, or have you really fell in love with the management role in football?
Both. I don't think anything beats playing. I think when you're a young lad and you've got a dream, and to be able to try and achieve that dream was probably the ultimate. But I think going into coaching and management, it's that you fall in love with football again. If you've played the game and you become a little bit older and you become a little bit tired of the aches and the pains and the operations and the things that go with playing, it's time to perhaps move into something else. And for me, when I first started, and certainly working in youth development, you fall in love with actually the reason why you got into the game in the first place. And I've certainly found that with coaching certainly younger players, that their enthusiasm and their love for it has enthused me. So I love both. I love the game. For me, I think playing is probably the ultimate, but I take huge pride in some of the young players now that I've worked with at sort of 14, 15, 16 who've gone on to first team football.